Hey everyone! Today, we're talking about an incredible chapter in history, the Western Turkic Khaganate. This was a powerful empire that ruled over the vast steppes of Eurasia during the 7th century. It came about after the First Turkic Khaganate split into two, with the western side becoming its own mighty force. The Western Turks were known as Onoq, meaning 10 arrows, which symbolized their 10 tribal groups. Their two main capitals were Navekat, their summer retreat, and Suyab, their central hub. These cities were located in modern-day Kyrgyzstan near the Chue River Valley. During the rule of Tong Yabgu Qaghan, one of their greatest leaders, they even had a summer residence near Tashkent. At its peak, the Western Turkic Khaganate stretched from the Tarim Basin all the way to the Caspian Sea. This vast empire reached its height under Tong Yabgu Qaghan in the early 600s. However, the peace didn't last. After Tong Yabgu was assassinated, the empire began to crumble due to internal conflicts between two main tribal groups, the Dulu and Nushibi. To make matters worse, the Tang dynasty of China began interfering. By 657, the Tang defeated the Western Turks, reducing them to a vassal state. By 742, the empire had completely fallen, paving the way for a new Turkic empire in the west, the Khazar Khaganate. The Western Turkic Khaganate traces its roots back to the First Turkic Khaganate, founded by Buman in 552. This original empire grew rapidly, spreading from Mongolia to the Caspian Sea. Eventually, it split into eastern and western factions. The Western Turks' rise to power was marked by battles and alliances with other major civilizations, such as Byzantium, Persia, and China. Under the leadership of Buman's brother Istami, the Western Turks expanded their territory. By 555, they had reached the Aral Sea, defeating other nomadic tribes like the Khaganites and Avars along the way. They even allied with the Byzantines and clashed with Persia to control critical trade routes like the Silk Road. During their conquests, the Western Turks became the first steppe empire to connect with three major civilizations: Byzantium, Persia, and China. By the late 500s, they had secured key regions like Semi-Rishi and Tashkent. This dominance reshaped Central Asia, pushing out rival tribes and taking charge of Silk Road trade. In their later years, the Khaganate faced serious challenges. Leaders like Tardush and Shagai worked hard to hold the empire together while dealing with attacks from Persia and the advancing Tang dynasty. Tong Yabgu Qaghan managed to restore stability and even expand the empire. But after his assassination in 630, chaos ensued. Rivalries between the Dulu and Nushibi tribes weakened the Khaganate, making it vulnerable to external threats. The Tang dynasty played a key role in the Western Turkic Khaganate's downfall. Through a series of military campaigns, the Tang defeated the Western Turks and took control of large parts of their territory. The final blow came in 657, when Tang general Su Dingfang defeated the Western Turkic leader Ashina Helu. After this defeat, the Western Turkic Khaganate lost its independence, and the region came under Tang rule, changing the cultural and political landscape forever. Despite their fall, the Western Turkic Khaganate left a lasting legacy. They were instrumental in shaping Central Asia, connecting major civilizations, and controlling the Silk Road. Their story set the stage for new powers like the Khazar Khaganate and other Turkic empires that followed. And the story of the Western Turkic Khaganate takes an exciting turn when we focus on its connections with two powerful empires of the time, Persia and Byzantium. These relationships show how important the Khaganate was as a bridge between East and West during the late 6th century. The Khaganate's role extended beyond mere diplomacy. It acted as a crucial link for the exchange of goods, culture, and military strategies between these ancient superpowers. Under the leadership of Istami, the Turks became a major power in Central Asia. Istami set up his winter camp near Karashar, placing the Khaganate at the heart of key trade routes. These routes were the lifelines of commerce and communication, ensuring the Turks' influence spread far and wide. The timeline of their expansion is impressive. By 552, they controlled Mongolia. By 555, they likely reached the Aral Sea, and by 558, they had defeated the Avars and expanded to the Volga River. This rapid growth brought them into contact with both Persia and Byzantium, leading to both alliances and conflicts. At first, the Turks allied with Persia against the Hephthalites, a powerful nomadic group. Between 557 and 565, they worked together to defeat the Hephthalites and establish a stable border along the Oxus River. This cooperation didn't last long, though. By 569, tensions between the Turks and Persia erupted into war. The conflict ended in 571, when Persia defeated the Turks near Merv. This shift from allies to adversaries highlights the complex and often unpredictable nature of geopolitics during this period. The Turks also reached out to Byzantium. In 563, they sent their first embassy to Emperor Justin II. Later, in 568, a Sogdian merchant named Maniak led a delegation to Constantinople. He proposed a trade and military alliance to bypass the Persians and establish a direct trade route north of the Caspian Sea. While it's unclear how successful this route was, it likely influenced the rise of other powers like the Khazars and the Rus. This bold diplomatic maneuver demonstrated the Turks' ability to think strategically, leveraging alliances to strengthen their position. The Turks' control over Sogdian merchant cities along the Oxus River gave them a stronghold on the Central Silk Road. This made them key players in the exchange of goods and ideas between East Asia, Persia, and Byzantium. However, their reliance on the Sogdians sometimes caused problems. Chinese sources describe the Sogdians as clever and manipulative, often using the Turks to serve their own interests. For instance, the Sogdians encouraged the Turks to ally with Byzantium against Persia. This relationship, though mutually beneficial, sowed seeds of distrust and added another layer of complexity to the Khaganate's external and internal affairs. By 576, the Turks had expanded their influence to the Black Sea region, including a brief occupation of Crimea. This marked the westernmost reach of their power, a significant feat considering the challenges of maintaining control over such vast and diverse territories. However, not all their campaigns were successful. In 588 to 589, a major Turkic incursion into Bactria was defeated by the Sasanian Persians. Despite setbacks, the Turk-Byzantine alliance was renewed in the 620s during a final war against Persia. This partnership saw bold military campaigns, such as storming the fortress of Derbent and operations in Azerbaijan and Georgia. These campaigns showcased the Turks' resilience and their willingness to adapt their strategies to shifting circumstances. The Western Turkic Khaganate was organized under the Onoq, or 10 Arrows system. This structure divided the empire into 10 tribes, each led by a chief. The tribes were further split into two groups, the Duolu in the east and the Nushibi in the west. This organizational framework helped maintain order within the Khaganate, but it also created internal rivalries. The competing interests of the Duolu and Nushibi factions often led to tension, which over time weakened the Khaganate, leaving it vulnerable to external threats like the Tang dynasty. This internal discord underscores how even the most innovative systems can falter under the pressure of competing ambitions. One remarkable glimpse into the culture of the Western Turks comes from the Afrasiab murals in Samarkand, painted in the mid-7th century. These murals show Turkic delegates alongside Chinese envoys, highlighting their role in diplomacy. The Turkic figures are easily recognizable by their clothing and hairstyles, giving us a rare insight into their identity and traditions. Their attire, marked by ankle-length coats and elaborate braids, reflects a blend of practicality and cultural pride, offering a visual narrative of their way of life. Although the Western Turkic Khaganate eventually fell, its influence was significant. Their control of key trade routes and interactions with major empires like Byzantium and Persia shaped the history of Central Asia. The collapse of their empire also opened the door for new powers to emerge, continuing the rich and dynamic history of the Eurasian steppes. Their legacy, embodied in their contributions to trade, diplomacy, and cultural exchange, remains a testament to their impact on the ancient world.